It's time now to know, or take a look rather, at stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio CEO of CKN News, Kehinde Nwandu, and Chartered Accountant, Public Affairs Analyst as well, Sesan Okunade. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank God it's Friday.
CKN, double congratulations to you.
Hey.
You want me to keep quiet?
Yeah, Beck. Off the mic. Thank you very much, my sister.
All right, let me leave it there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the first newspaper. Fani-Kayode, I judged Buhari wrongly. Now I know better. Fani-Kayode, I judged Buhari wrongly. Now I know better. All right, you find details of the story on the pages of the first newspaper. To this Nigerian newspaper now, 2023 presidency on South, we stand. Southern governors insist on power shift to region, back Rivers, Lagos on VAT collection, other states too. You find details of the story on this Nigeria newspaper. To the Daily Times now, VAT collection belongs to states. Southern governors tell federal government. VAT collection belongs to states. Southern governors tell the federal government. To the Nation newspaper, Lagos Rivers ask court to stop VAT revenue sharing. South governors back court action on tax. Don't join Lagos, says FIRS. You find details on the pages of the Nation newspaper. To the Blueprint, VAT war appeal court seeks stops Rivers Lagos Southern governors kick. Appeal court stops Rivers Lagos Southern governors kick. You find details on the pages of the Blueprint newspaper. To the Daily Trust now, despite court ruling, Southern governors insist on VAT collection. Northern Governors Forum mom, Kanu studying situation. Gombe wants status quo maintained. Details on the pages of the Daily Trust. To the Leadership newspaper now, Southern governors move to entrench fiscal federalism. Southern governors move to entrench fiscal federalism. You find details on the pages of the Leadership newspaper. To the Vanguard newspaper now, Southern governors back Rivers, Lagos on VAT. Says VAT collection is state's responsibility. Insistent Southern presidents in 2023, reaffirm commitment to structural fiscal federalism. You find all of those details on the pages of the Vanguard newspaper. All right, we move to The Guardian now. Southern governors insist on VAT collection. 2023 presidency, reaffirm commitment to structural fiscal federalism. Appeal court declines to stop FIRS from VAT collection. To Nigeria News Direct now, Enugu meeting, Southern governors insist on 2023. Declare support for collection of VAT by states. Commend enactment of anti-open grazing law across region. Details on the pages of the Nigerian News Direct. To the Punch newspaper now, federal government to spend $4.9 billion fresh loans on Kanu, Niger Republic rail line. Others. Railway will improve trade among Nigeria and Niger, not Africa, says Buhari. Anambra, Benue, Ogun, Taraba farmers, others to benefit from $50 million loan. National Assembly speedy approval of Buhari's loan request worries Ndume. All right, you find the details of the story on the pages of the Punch newspaper. To the national economy now, states push for resource control may gain momentum. States push for resource control may gain momentum. And finally, on the front page of the Business Day, Nollywood produces most movies in 5 years, but piracy limits profit. All right, those are the stories on the pages of the newspapers this morning. And I'd like to begin from this story that has generated a lot of reaction. And it's on the front page of the First News newspaper. Fani-Kayode's movement to the APC. And he says that he judged the president wrongly. Now he knows better. His movement, to some, it's surprising. To others, it is not. And I'm wondering what you make of this development, Olusegun.
Thank you very much. Well, you said it while you're rounding off that it's surprising to some people. And to some people, it's a normal thing. For I, Olusegun, it's not surprising. Because we've said it times with that number that even the party themselves, what are their ideologies? What do they believe in? It's when you have a good ideology about a party, you can talk about the people that are daring. And that's why we've been having this moving from one place to the other. He's not the first person, like I said in my write-up somewhere, and he won't be the last person. We saw some of the top-notch people, the Senate President, the 8th National Assembly moved from PDP to APC, won, and he became Senate President on that premise. On his exit, he went back to PDP. And he said he joined Judge Buhari. But my question is, as at the time when he was making some pronouncements, when Buhari came to bear in 2015, there are weighty words that if we need to go by our words, some of us individuals, when we talk, we should bury ourselves, under and say, oh, well, because with this, I saying there's even no apology to anyone. He felt that, well, it's his personal opinion. But the fact remains that the party ideologies that we don't have makes people give easy cross-carpeting. I'm sure there's a game plan. You won't just move all the way from PDP to APC. Let's watch for it's a movie. This is at once in one.
Right.
Definitely we'll know the reason for his movement.
Maybe CKN we know, although people, some will say that he has freedom of movement. He can move from one place to the other, freedom of association, and all of that. It's still movement.
Of course.
So, CKN, let's just get your perspective.
CKN are very close to some of them.
That's why I came to him, because I know he must have an insight to the move. Even though he said the Holy Spirit led him move. Sir?
Vero. How many times did I call you?
I think it's 2.
3. You didn't hear the last one. But seriously, I think we should look at this from 2 angles.
Right.
Constitutionally and morally. Constitutionally, does he have a right to move? And as you rightly said, he has the right. There is nothing in this constitution that prevents anybody from moving from one party to the other. You rightly said also that every Nigerian has a right of association. So you can associate with anybody. If I decide not to be your friend tomorrow, you don't owe me. I don't owe you an obligation. I don't owe me, so we move on. So on that premise, he is right. But we also look at it from moral perspective. That is where the issue is. And somebody has once described, especially Nigerian politicians, as like footballers who move clubs based on the highest bidding space. Yes, so
there's a bid here.
Yes, there's a bid, of course. Also look at it from the point that even in footballers, I go back to football. There's what we call windows. Okay.
So we are in that window now.
So we are in that. We are in that window now. You just know that Ronaldo just moved from his club to Man. But I just footballers are more professional than our politicians. Let me tell you why. And that is where the moral question comes in. Ronaldo was to move, and the first team that came from Ronaldo was Man City. A rival team to Man U that he played for several years and became a legend there. They were to pay him more. But some people just looked to him and said, Ronaldo, it's not about money. In fact, Sir Alex Becker said, young man, you are a legend in this place. Don't go and rubbish yourself. This is a rival club. What are they? And the guy just believed in that. He didn't bother about the money and the rest of them. He went back to Man U. That is something you don't find with our politicians. But as Sesan rightly said, he's not the first to move. Neither is he going to be the last. Just yesterday, Senator Sani moved from PRP, from APC to PRP, from PRP to PDP. And so many. Atiku moved from APC from PDP to APC, from APC to PDP. I don't know where he's going to move to in 2023. But the moral question for me there is most of the things that he has said. Fani-Kayode was caught on tape calling Buhari a killer. It is there. He was caught on tape saying that Buhari during the time he was chairman of PTF, stole that distinct blind. That in fact he was to be prosecuted, if not for the fact that there was a witness that was supposed to be part of the prosecution that died. If not, that Buhari should be in jail by now. He went ahead to say so many things. In fact, there was a point where he said that he can never bow to Buhari. And to cap it up, he says, until Jesus comes, that will not. I was wondering whether Jesus has come. Jesus hasn't come.
No, he said he was led by the Spirit.
Oh, the Jesus now have told him to the Spirit of Jesus. No, what this means is that, first and foremost, we have to understand that the internet doesn't forget. And we also choose our words carefully. We should choose our words carefully before what happened now. He has a moral burden on him, irrespective of.
Okay.
The last one is that I have been thinking of what gain that Fani-Kayode is going to be to APC. I have not seen. Fani-Kayode has never contested any election and won any election in Nigeria. That is a fact. All he has had were appointments. He was appointed into the Obasanjo regime and the rest of them. He became minister and the rest of them. Does Fani-Kayode have a constituency? As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't. Probably on Twitter and Facebook and the rest of them. That is where his constituency. But I don't know what he's bringing to the table. And that was a statement issued by the comment issued by the senior special advisor to the president on political matters. Yes, Senator. That's my senior. That's my senior in the industry. Anyway, Babafemi Ojudu, where he was practically crying that why on earth would they allow Fani-Kayode to join APC? That today is the saddest day in his political life and rest of it. Whether he will be accepted in the APC or not, that is left to be. But I know that
the president has accepted him.
Well, the president doesn't have an option. Under the circumstances, Buhari doesn't have any say in this. He went ahead and said that he has motivated so many governors to move from one party to another, and me has to come in that. These are rhetorics. But the fact remains that our politicians have no shame. That is the fact. One will be in PDP today, tomorrow. Yes, you say what?
I wanted to ask the question. This issue of morality, does it really have a role to play when we are talking about politics?
It does. Let me tell you. It does. The integrity matters a lot.
Yeah.
In every aspect of human life, integrity matters. Your words should be your honor. Whether you are in politics or whatever you call yourself. You know why? Because tomorrow you don't know where you find yourself. People are watching. People are listening. And the rest of it. If you lack integrity, then every other thing you do collapses. And that is where every man principle is based. If you lack integrity, irrespective of whatever you find yourself and the rest of them, our politicians now does this look up as now we are belly face.
Now you talk.
Now me talking now. It's we are belly face. That is where they don't care about even the people they are representing. If anyone has any opportunity tomorrow and rest, if PDP wins the presidency in 2023. You can be rest assured that all these people running to APC will jump back to
APC. Is this what is affecting our democracy as a country now? Why some have said that our democracy is nascent, is not growing in the pace it should, despite we being over 20 years practicing democracy?
How do you expect it to grow, Vero? How do you expect it? The people that have practically made themselves to be the top-notch politician are people that does not even have a straight line ideology to say, okay, you know, we've had both the APC and the PDP ruled us. And if you compare what we do in the politics with that of, let's take for example America, everybody know that till death, Trump stands by his words. He's not shaking. Whatever you want to say, look at those Republican senators. They stand by their words at every point in time that you need to say. But what do we say here? People, what baffles me is people will even swear with their life that over my dead body, and while you're still alive. I don't know whether they know the magnitude of the words
what they are saying
that they say out, and that is why it's shocking. Democracy cannot grow under. See, I explained to some people yesterday that I said you are yet to see the highest shock. In the next few months, from the background things we are hearing, some will still shock us more.
All right, let's quickly go on this commercial break. When we return, we'll look through the newspaper headlines. Still, stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still reviewing the papers, and I still have my guests in the studio. Before we went on the break, Sesan, you were talking about how this is impacting our democracy. And I want to bring the question to you, CKN. How then can we have a vibrant opposition? Because in a democracy, you're supposed to have a vibrant opposition that, you know, challenges whatever it is the other party in power is doing. As it is, it's seeming like we're ending up running a one-party state.
Yeah, and that is the problem we have. The winner takes it all syndrome.
And everybody follows.
The winners take it all syndrome is really affecting a lot of things. You know, I said initially that in local parlance we are belly face. What we are practicing is we are belly face. The fact is that most of these politicians don't have other things doing. Most of them don't have any job. All they do is politicking. If you have a career, like some of us, if you go into politics today, and you find it not worthy, you can come back to broadcasting as a broadcaster. Do you understand? But some of them, they cannot survive out of this politics. And that is where some of them, that's why I was talking about these movements and the rest of them, leave the rhetorics. Until we be able to fashion a situation where we make politics not too attractive in terms of cash, take home, and the rest of them, people will give in their best. And which is why some of us are also be advocates that even at National Assembly and legislative level, that it should be part-time. Because look, anytime you see the camera focus at the Senate, you see that less than 30% of them are in the chamber. We have 360 members in the House of Reps. Let the focus during plenary, let the camera focus on there. You see that close to less than 30% of them are there. Even the time that we're having the last debate, some of them went to the toilet when they were having the votes on some of these critical issues. That goes to show you the mentality of the people that we elect. Let me even use the word elect, because most of them are not even elected. They were selected right from the primaries and rest of them. And because of the kind of godfathers they have and rest of them, some of them have been in that. I'm also using the chamber now. I'm insisting it because if we get the legislative rights, the executive and the rest of them will be able to fall in line. When there is, you will always remember that immediately there is any kind of problem within the system, political system, let me use the word like coup and the rest of them, the first thing that you see that they will say legislative, they remove. The executive remains, the judiciary remains. The only aspect that the military goes for is legislative. We know why? Because that is the heartbeat of politics. That is the heartbeat of politics. So remove that, every other thing just for a place. So what we can do in essence is that let's make politics less attractive. And let's make sure the people, what we can do, what we do is that make sure that some of the fundamental, some of the money we are pumping into it, whatever allowances and the rest of them, that is what is attracting them. On a daily basis, when you know that you are going to get millions and millions, they keep for it. I, as someone, if I decide that I want to contest tomorrow, I will not even have the opportunity because I don't even have the money to even pick up the form. Do you understand? So until we make it possible for people who genuinely want to go into policies, have the ability to be able to participate, then we continue having this. Because what we are having now is a set of leaders who are so selfish, so self-centered in what they do that they don't care less about the other way. So at any given point in time, if they're not getting from what they want in party B, you see them jumping to party C, D, and the rest of them. As I said earlier on, if by chance PDP wins in 2023, you'll be rest assured that most of these people jumping into APC now will come back to PDP. And that is what we have. Principle, they are not principled. You will see a politician in the United States or United Kingdom. There's a member of either the Republican Party and the rest of them, and they remain there.
For years
until they retire. In fact, I have not had any, at least in the last 30 years, of anybody moving from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party or from the Conservative to the in the UK. Most often than not, the worst they can do is become independent. They go independent. They become independent candidates under this circumstance.
Which a lot of Nigerians had pushed
that for. That is what we are pushing for here, so that opportunity can be given to those that cannot be able to walk through the system of the political parties to remain independent and come to serve. But now come and chop.
Then you see the followers too. We have a lot to put in this. Don't be surprised. There's going to be a party for this defection by FFK. Some people are going to take Ashwebi and celebrate them. And part of the problem I'm faced with is, like CKN said, politics has now become the main business, and people outside who are carrying out business, these are leaders are not doing anything to make sure that even the economy is growing. If majority of them, after leaving, possibly serving, because what we learned when we're growing up is when you get involved in politics, it's service to humanity. If you serve, you have to fall back to the primary thing that you belong to. But majority will prefer to go from one party to the other because they have actually damaged the economy. As we speak, no businessman is actually happy with everything that is going on. So what do you expect? Majority of the people are now using their money to look, how can I even become local government chairman? How can I become the PA to one politician? Because that is the only survivor that we have. The only surviving means. Businesses are no longer look at the issues between the state and the federal government on VAT. Who is going to suffer for it? The politician will always have their way, whether the state wins, whether the federal government wins, but the business owners are going to pay and bear the brunt, because all they will do is just to rake money that the businessmen have actually labored for. And that's what we have said, like CKN said, make issue of politics to be on part-time. You go there and come back, so that when you don't do the right policy,
those that will legislate on that, you think they would agree to that?
Because so that when you don't do the right policy to make the economy grow, you come back and suffer it. But as we speak, once they make some economic mistake, all they do is that they are not coming back into the business world. They now take now that we can't go back and have a business. How many of them can boastfully come out and say, this is the business I'm practicing, and with the current economic condition, I know this is eaten by other us? None. The fact now remains that, see, we are not coming back to our business. All we need to do is to make relevant by staying onto the free money. I call this free money. And until we change those policies, things cannot move. People are actually crying, Vero. Businessmen are not finding it funny. Those that are doing international trade and all those things. Look at what the dollar is saying as we speak. So many people venture into some of these businesses with the aim of thinking that, okay, this can go at a particular rate. So our leaders must take this. And that's why we must look for a way to make sure that they are on part-time. Do the business with us. So when you fail, within 4 years, you come back into the system that you have actually failed, and we both suffer it together.
All right. We'll have to leave the conversation here now. I'm sure the stakeholders are listening, and perhaps
the stakeholders are still the people that are going to determine. So, as you rightly said, they will not. That is why where we are. They will not.
Maybe CKN.
You should be thinking of coming. I would just think that part of what I was saying is that the situation where we look at, you look at policies. A situation where once you're elected a politician or whatever, a leader, your children must go to school here. You must use the hospitals here and the rest of them.
Who is going to legislate on that?
Are they not the same people?
So let's leave the conversation. Anyway, CEO CKN News, Kehinde Nwandu, and Chartered Accountant, as well as Public Affairs Analyst, Sesan Okunade. Thank you for your time on the newspaper review.
Pleasure to be here.
And you too.